What up is Marcus Dynasty Full Dads. We are going to be reacting to the Dynasty Fantasy Flock video. So Mason has his channel. I think he has thousands of subscribers, and he did a mock draft with landing spots, which we did yesterday. A different one is the one that he reacted to 9 days ago. It had a ton of different views, but I have a huge problem with a lot of different rankings that he has. Now, again, this is not for me to bash necessarily on his channel. I do believe that he does give good content and good insights at times. He is a very analytical, processed mind. I feel like I add a little bit more video aspects in my mind as well. Analytics, you can definitely have an over analytic mindset and all of a sudden just go by numbers, and all of a sudden that can put you into some danger categories. But we're going to do a Superflex mock draft. It's going to be the first round. I'm going to go through what he did, and I'm going to compare it to what I would have done in the exact same situation, which is all that you guys care about, and how different you can see two different opinions and minds coming together, and what I would love to even do a mock draft with him. Hey, never know, comments on his channel and say, hey, do a mock draft with Marcus, the Dynasty Full Dad, and maybe we can have it happen here. So 101, this is something that we definitely both agreed on, me and Mason. 101, Breece Hall, Bills, second round, 57th overall pick. And it's my easy number one overall as well. 99% of the time, it's going to be Breece Hall that's going to be the 101. This is Superflex, so a lot of times you do see a quarterback in here. But Breece Hall, there's enough to be said. He is the legit 101, should be, has every attribute that you would possibly want. You think even like a younger version of like Najee Harris, how Najee Harris basically came into the NFL, he was ready, he pretty much had everything. Breece Hall, exact same situation. He is going to be into that elite prospect tier. We're talking about the Todd Gurley's, the Zeke's, the even DeAndre Swift's. Like, he's going to be in that category for elite prospect. Number two, this is where we're going to have a big difference. And so I was one of the first people to talk about Malik Willis being my number one quarterback. If you go back 4 months ago, right after the Super Bowl, actually that was like 4 months ago, that was probably 2 months ago. 2 months ago. If you go back 2 months ago, I feel like I was the only Dynasty analyst, call me an analyst, the only Dynasty channel to have Malik Willis as my number one quarterback. Everyone had him 3, 4 after Matt Corral and after Kenny Pickett, and some had him even behind Desmond Ridder. And what happened is the NFL Pro Day and Combine came to happen, and you could see the attributes. Malik Willis hasn't played a game in the last 2 months, but his stock has extremely risen. And so now I feel like I went from the biggest pro Malik Willis person to the guy trying to say, hey, not much has changed. Why are people going from 15 to 2 while I went from like 8 to 6? Crazy things have happened. And so Malik Willis goes to the Falcons, 108 here for Mason, and is his second player taken off the board. I am going to guess in 1 month, less than 1 month, in 2 weeks, I guess you'd say, he is going to be drafted by Falcons, Seattle, Pittsburgh, a good landing spot. And you are going to see him go 101 in certain drafts. And he's going to go ahead of Breece Hall. It's not going to be surprising, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to happen. And I would not make that decision. In fact, there are plenty of players. Malik Willis, spoiler, is my number 5 in this draft. There are players that I feel are much more safe. There's 20% of Malik Willis that could be Lamar Jackson. There's 20% of Malik Willis that could be Jalen Hurts. And there's like 60% that could be like Geno Smith bust, or Geno Smith RG3 bust situation. And I know RG3 was a lot of injuries and stuff, but there is some huge red flags when it comes to Malik Willis when he played at Liberty, when it comes to him being an NFL-ready quarterback. This quarterback class is super weak, and that's why I feel like he's being risen up to the top. Trey Lance, Justin Fields, these are players that I would rather have easily over Malik Willis, just because they are much safer, and they still have that upside of being a top 10 Dynasty fantasy quarterback. So Malik Willis going 102 is going to be one of my biggest issues. I feel like, again, I was the biggest promoter. Now I'm one of the people that's saying, hey, like, nothing has changed. We already knew he had a huge arm. We already knew his legs were amazing, like elite level for a quarterback. But he still has a lot to be ready to get to that next level, to be an NFL-ready quarterback and to keep his job. That is to be said, and if he ends up going to the Falcons, that'll be an okay situation, but nothing crazy. Number 3 is Treylon Burks. And so Treylon, well, actually, so I'm going to go through my number 2 here. I won't even go through my number 2. I'll just say that Malik Willis was 5, Brees Hall was 1. You'll get the order here at the end when we'll do both of them together here. Number 3, Treylon Burks, Packers, first round, 22nd overall, is my number 3 easily as well, too. Not easily. He's my number 3 in this situation as well. Not much to say. Treylon Burks, number 1 wide receiver taken off the board. I think this is definitely in the realm of possibilities. There's really one of probably 3 wide receivers it's going to be. It's going to be him, Garrett Wilson, or Drake London. A lot of it is in a tier, and it's just going to depend on landing spot and situational fits, depending if we see, hey, Treylon Burks, Packers, that's going to be a really good situation versus we'll talk about 104, which is Drake London. He goes to the Eagles in this situation, and so I have him actually 8th, which hurts. Yeah, I have him 8th. Yeah, I have him 8th, which is the lowest I have put Drake London in a while, but I hate the Eagles situation, putting him in that situation. Devontae Smith is the alpha there, and Drake London is a big-bodied wide receiver that doesn't create necessarily a ton of separation for a team that has Jalen Hurts that is super inaccurate. That's a recipe for just a really, really slow start to Drake London's career. 115 is the overall pick, so 15th overall in the first round. So personally, I would rather have, well, I'm just trying to see, Kenneth Walker. I'd rather have Garrett Wilson. Like, there's players I would rather have ahead of Drake London in this draft. Garrett Wilson is the 105, which I actually had the 4th overall here. He does go to Washington, 111 to the Washington Commanders. I wrote Commanders down. It just doesn't even sound right. I think of Washington football team. He's got Carson Wentz. He'll be the... It's weird because he's in a situation where I feel like I've compared Garrett Wilson to Terry McLaurin, so you're going to have 2 Terry McLaurins. Terry McLaurin is going to be repeated. Hopefully Garrett Wilson doesn't have like the number, I don't know, like 11 or something like that, because they would look almost identical probably as players running around. Maybe he'll be 17 as well. They'll just throw them both at 17, just do some crazy rules here. But Garrett Wilson is my number 4 overall here. I don't understand why he had Drake London. I know Mason must be an immediate Drake London lover here, because Eagles is such a worse situation for Drake London. Like, if you put Garrett Wilson on the Eagles, it's a better fit, I think, for Garrett Wilson. He's a separator. He's a better route runner. I think you don't want Drake. I don't want Drake London. I don't want George Pickens. And I don't want Christian Watson. All those 3, I do not want them to go to the Eagles. Eagles do not need a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, big-bodied wide receiver that they don't know how to throw to. It just doesn't fit well for the Eagles. So the next guy, 106, is Jameson Williams, another Packers wide receiver, 128. This was difficult for me to put, because you have him and Treylon Burks, both Packers players, but I think Aaron Rodgers could easily give fantasy relevance to both of them. I mean, they don't have anybody else really to throw to. I had him at 6. So we'll go through these orders here at the end just to make it so it's not super confusing to follow along. But I had Jameson Williams at 6. Number 7 is Kenny Pickett. I had him at 11. Kenny Pickett is one of the players that I least like. So 20th overall pick to the Steelers. I don't see the upside in Kenny Pickett. I hate to say Kyle Trask, but I see like Kyle Trask-ish abilities. I just don't see it being a super successful quarterback at the next level. I've heard all these different things from other people, but I know that quarterback's the hardest position to predict. I don't feel like Kenny Pickett is a starting level quarterback. If he is, then I'm not seeing fantasy relevance. So there's kind of a two double-edged sword there. So I just don't see it. I don't see it from Kenny Pickett. He would be number 11 here. I'd have to take some other players ahead of him. We'll get to him. But number 8, like Chris Olave, I would have easily ahead of Kenny Pickett because Chris Olave goes to the Saints. He's 118, so 18th overall pick in the first round. Again, this is Superflex. I understand quarterbacks are loved, but I hate this quarterback draft class. Hate, double hate, triple hate. Hate this quarterback draft class. Again, I'm not a draft scout, but that's just what I feel. And so Chris Olave, he goes to the Saints. They have Jameis Winston. And that's what I mean. I think Chris Olave is going to be a decent wide receiver at the next level, and having that 18th overall draft capital makes me feel like that would be a good end of the first round pick here. And then I have also Christian Watson ahead. So Christian Watson goes to the Chiefs, 130 overall. Christian Watson could easily be that big. I mean, you're talking about Tyreek Hill being super fast. runs in the 4.3s, probably 4.2s, if you really measured his speed. Christian Watson is a big-bodied wide receiver that is fast. So you talk about his what do they call it? The RAS score, relative athletic score, which is, I think he was second or third highest ever behind like Calvin Johnson. Even ahead of like Chase Claypool, which we know is an athletic, dominant type of player. And so Christian Watson here at my 10, his 9, we're close. Isaiah Spiller 110, which he had ahead of Kenneth Walker, which we're going to talk about Kenneth Walker here. I know this is going to be a little bit longer video, but we're going to talk about Kenneth Walker. Goes to the Texans in the 3rd round. I had Isaiah Spiller as number 7, and I think that's a pretty decent spot for Isaiah Spiller. Houston, there's some big red flags for Isaiah Spiller, but I think 7 is going to be, that if he gets drafted in the 3rd round of Houston, I think that's going to be a really, really good spot for Isaiah Spiller. I've seen some really horrible locations for Isaiah Spiller lately that's dropped him on completely out of the 1st in Superflex and in 1 QB leagues. So this is nice to actually see that he goes to somewhere nice and he's respected. Number 11 and number 12, we're just going to go through them really quick here so we can talk about my number 2 player still that wasn't drafted in the top 12. I don't understand it. Matt Corral, again, I didn't have him ranked in the top 12. I won't. He was drafted in the 2nd round to the Seahawks. I don't like it. I really don't like it. And I don't, again, think that he is a starting level quarterback. You put him in Seattle, maybe Pete Carroll can throw some magic in there, but I don't. You're talking about Drew Lock versus, not Drew Lock, but Drew Lock versus like a similar type of level of quarterback. Drew Lock versus himself, basically. And so Matt Corral doesn't interest me in the least bit. I think that's how you say it, right? And then George Pickens goes to the Jets. He is my last pick of the 1st round, and he goes to the Jets 2nd round. Jets, not the greatest situation. I do like George Pickens, but you have to give the edge to like Watson and Olave with the 1st round capital and the better landing spot. So again, he had Hall, Willis, Burks, London, Wilson, Williams, Pickett, Olave, Christian Watson, Isaiah Spiller, Matt Corral, George Pickens. No Kenneth Walker because I had Breece Hall, number 2 overall pick that was not picked in the top 12. I don't care that he was drafted in the 3rd round. And 102nd pick to the Miami Dolphins. He will be my number 2 overall pick. Kenneth Walker has all the check marks on the boxes, basically. I love Kenneth Walker. The worst I could even see him, you could argue for, is like 4 or 5, but not 13th, especially in Superflex. So I have Kenneth Walker at, I don't care that he went to Miami at 102. It's still the 3rd round. I want Kenneth Walker, number 2. Number 3, Treylon Burks. Number 4, Garrett Wilson. And Garrett Wilson and Malik Willis, I was teeter-totting back and forth. So Garrett Wilson 4, Malik Willis 5. Argued back and forth, but Malik Willis 5. 6 is going to be Jameson Williams. Again, goes to the Packers with Treylon Burks. Number 7, Isaiah Spiller. Number 8, Drake London. Number 9, Chris Olave. Number 10, Christian Watson. Number 11, Kenny Pickett. Number 12, George Pickens. Let me know who you thought was right. Was I right? Was Mason right with these picks, with these rankings? What do you think? What do you disagree? Where do you see yourself difference? Maybe you're split in between. I had somebody at, maybe I had Will. Let's go ahead and do an example. Maybe he had Pickett at 7, I had Pickett at 11. Maybe you think he's at 9, something like that. Comment in the box below. Comment in the thing below, and we'll kind of hash this out and settle this out. Hey, we still got some more mock draft time. All right, peace out. Take care.